So let's get started. Exploratory online seminar number 49. Today's topic is Introduction to Dashboard or Dashboard Lifecycle. So dashboard is usually, like I'm sure like you have seen something like this. Sometimes you see the numbers, you see the charts, but it really is like you have a bunch of information collected together and present or share with others. And then like you're on top of that, if you want to monitor so that you can see how the numbers of the charts are looking like every day or every week and so on. Okay, and then so going back to the data science workflow, I kind of like simplify this to data access, wrangling, the visualization, analytics on the left-hand side. When you go through this data science workflow, or basically like when you're analyzing the data, then you end up like creating a bunch of charts. Some are not so useful, but some are useful and valuable, so that like you want to share with others, or you want to monitor every day, or whatever the periodic timing. And then in Exploratory, it's easy to make charts, or easy to transform the data, or easy to create the charts by using algorithms as well. So if you are interested in how to create charts in Exploratory, I'd recommend you go to our website. There's a how-to link from the top menu, and then you go to the how-to page, and then you can click on the visualization, or you simply find a data visualization workshop. Inside this workshop, this is all free contents. I think I have done like 4 or 5 episodes, starting with pretty basic one to more like statistical charts, or even like I talk about how to prepare or how to do the data wrangling to make your data visualization more effective. Okay, so let's say like you have done all that and you have the various charts. Now it's time to create dashboard. I think dashboard is not the only way you can create note, you can create slides, but also I think the dashboard is one of the best way to share the insights. So you create this one, but dashboard is not, it's much more than just creating the dashboard itself, right? Like it's not like when you create a dashboard, that's not the end. So we create this like 6 sort of like steps. We call it like a life cycle dashboard. So like once you have the dashboard, then you want to publish and share, interact, and schedule, and then reproduce. So these are the things that we think it's important, sort of like a steps or like life cycle of the dashboard. And that's really the main topic of today. Okay, so before getting started, so this is again the typical dashboard, but when you look at this one, there's a couple things. Number one, the components, or like each, maybe like we call it like object, at the top, the numbers. And these numbers you can create inside the Exploratory under the chart view. But it's just showing that whatever the number, aggregated numbers or the raw number, whatever that could be. And then in the middle, we have 2 charts. One is coming from, both of them coming from analytics view, but left one, in this particular example, I use time series forecasting as a profit to forecast how the, in this case, like engagement of the user is going to be in the next, 12 weeks or so. And then the right-hand side is using the cohort analysis by using the survival analysis or survival curve algorithms. And then at the bottom left-hand side is a map, and the right-hand side the charts. These are created under the chart view. So even though like it looks like just one dashboard, but you can bring in like different type of numbers and charts in a one single page, if you will. Not only that, but also each chart can come from different data sources. Some can be coming from the database, some can be coming from like a Google spreadsheet or Excel, or some can be coming from cloud apps like Google Analytics or Salesforce and so on. But you can all bring in together in one page or one dashboard. And the lastly, but not least, is because in Exploratory, you can create charts or analytics based off from like different steps of the data wrangling. So when you start working with the data, like you transform the data, you clean up the data, you format the data. So all the stuff will be added on at the right hand side that we call data wrangling steps. And then you can create the charts and then pinning to the particular step. So maybe one chart is showing the data based on the third step, and then another chart is based on the sixth step, where the data has been calculated, aggregated at let's say like region level or something. And then you can bring in the charts from the different steps. So I guess like what I'm trying to say is like you can create a dashboard in a very flexible way based on your needs or based on your data or how you want to create the charts. Okay. So having said that, let's see how you create the dashboard. So basically, like you go left-hand side, you see the reports menu, and then there's a plus button. When you click plus button, then you have the option. And then one of them is the dashboard. And then when you click dashboard, then you get this like a blank screen of the dashboard. And then you click add chart or analytics, then you can start adding the chart. Okay, and then you get this like kind of chart adding dialog. And then first thing you want to do is you want to select a data frame, and then all the charts under that selected data frame will be showing up. And so you want to select one of them. And then if you want to add the chart, not from the chart view, but under the analytics view, then you want to select the analytics and then select particular chart to create and to add it. And once you add, you can start keep adding the charts, but also you can add the row. So like in this case, adding the row above, and then you have this kind of special section. I mean, like the chart inserting section. And then you can click on the add chart button and then start adding other charts as well. So that's a kind of basic flow. I'm gonna do a quick demo on this. So here, I'm going to start off with existing one and then see like how we can add the charts or like adjust the design of the dashboard. So here, so I have imported this thing called global sales from MySQL database. And underneath, I have a bunch of charts already being created. Okay, and then under the analytics as well, like I created time series forecasting as well. So now like my thing is like, hey, like I want to create a dashboard and then inserting these charts and share with others on the schedule and so on. So here is one dashboard I've created already and have two charts. And I want to add two, two or three, and then like kind of adjust the design and then move on with the life cycle. Okay. So let's see, like, so I want to add extra charts on top of these two charts. So like add above, and then like I have this section. And what I want to do is click on the add chart, and then let's say, oh yeah, here's a forecast thing chart. So like I want to add that one here. And then now I have one chart. And then like I want to see under the chart section, I like to add, let's say, maybe what charts I have here already? Oh, here you go. Maybe like the box plot charts, that's okay. And then also I like to do is add another chart. So let's say another section. So here, and then I want to add the number. So like a number of the customers, and then like another one, what can I do? Like maybe like a number, sales amount. And then like I have two things. And then now here, like I can actually start sort of drag and drop to change the position. And then, hey, you know what, like I want to have numbers at the top. And then like I want to adjust this, like width. And also like I want to kind of adjust the height of the dashboard. So I can do those readjustment by using that sort of like drag and drop. And also like I can use like a set height evenly, or let's say I can use like what is this? Distribute width evenly, so like I can use these buttons to adjust the charts. Actually, I realized that like one of the chart is exactly the same, so that is not fun. So like I'm gonna select something else. How about this one? And then maybe I'm gonna just have something like this, and then let me just adjust a little bit. Here we go. And then looks like looks okay. Oh, you know what? Like I want to change this title. So instead of like saying analytics one forecasted, I can just change the title. And then this is forecasted maybe sales. I click apply, and I change the title. And then I want to make sure this one is going to look like the thing I'm expecting. So I click on run button, and then this is the sort of like the latest view based on the actual data. So I have two numbers and then the forecasting values and then the three charts at the bottom. Okay, so this is very sort of like kind of basic of like how you create the dashboard and also design a dashboard. Okay, so once you create that dashboard, and the next thing you want to do is next step of the life cycle, which is publish. So you want to publish this dashboard to main thing is three things, like a sharing with others, and then also interacting with the dashboard, or more precisely, more often than not, like you want others to interact with that dashboard. And then you want to schedule the dashboard so that the data in the dashboard is always up to date. Okay, so this one too, I like to do demo on this. So here, there's a publish button at the right-hand side top. So I'm going to click on publish button, and then maybe I'm going to keep just same name as a title. And then I can add a tag. A tag is actually useful, like if you give, let's say, like, hey, this is operation, or this is a sales, this is like a team exploratory, whatever that could be, just using a comma to add multiple tags. And once you have the tag, then you can actually click on the tag to on the website to kind of keep organized whatever the things you publish. In this case, I'm going to just go ahead with this. And also another thing is I'm going to click on this EDF button right here, a checkbox. Then this is going to be something that like you can have others to download this dashboard and import this dashboard in their Exploratory environment to reproduce what I have created. So, but anyway, so I'm going to just click on publish button. And then once I publish, and then basically this is what this is doing is publishing this dashboard to our server, exploratory.io. And once it's published, and it will generate the URL. And I can click on this open in browser. And then let's see, here we go. So this is basically the same thing that we have been seeing in that desktop, Exploratory desktop. Okay, so now a few things here is various button. I'm going to talk about that from now, but you see that title, and then you see this like private kind of locking icon. This indicate this dashboard is shared privately. So that means unless I invite others, nobody can actually see it, even though like if they happen to have like this URL or something. And this one is not going to show up on our website. So it's that's why we call private. Oops. Okay, so just to sum up on that thing, I thought I created something, but okay. Okay, so now let's move on to share. So like this one is private, and then only I can open this dashboard. But the whole point of like you want to publish is you want to share with others. So that's something that I like to do from here. Okay. So you see this button right here. This is the share button. So I'm going to click on this one, and then it gives me the share dialog. And here there is a members only, pro members only. This is only we can see the team exploratory. We can see this is a kind of experimental feature. So if you click on the share button, you're not going to see these two menu. Okay, so now basically like what I want to do is like I want to share this one to somebody else. So let's say like for example like my team member is like called K, and then like I can type on the email address. If I have shared before, it's gonna be shown up in the suggested list. If I've never used that email, then you just type the email and then click the enter key, and then it will be, it's basically the same experience of like you write in the email. And then you can add the title, the message. So, something like this. And then sales dashboard, take a look. And then I can just click on the share button. So this is going to share, send the email to this, in this case, a K Saito. And then what's going to do is that person will be able to click on that link to open this dashboard. But in order for that person to open this dashboard, that person needs to have the Exploratory account. And this is where this is why like, we want to protect that, how we protect that dashboard access. And then in order to open this, you don't need to have a paid plan or anything like that. You can share with others, and then so they can sign up. If they don't have the account, they can sign up for free. And then there's no limitation. So like you want to share with like 10 people, 100 people, doesn't really matter. And then they can create something called a viewer account, which is free. And but they can't open or they can't use Exploratory desktop unless they are on a current teachers or students. Or then in that case they can use a community plan, um, or like there's a public edition, then that's free too. So it's a little confusing. But regular version, like business and a personal plan, and that's the paid plan. So all in all, in order to open dashboard on the website, it's free. You can create a free account. If you want to import this dashboard in your desktop, then you have to have a plan. Okay, so now I created this, but however, sometimes, let's say that you're sharing with other 100 people, and you don't want all those 100 people to create Exploratory account. Sometimes it's kind of tricky. Like if you if you're sharing with your boss and asking boss to create Exploratory account, right? So in that case, there's other way to share it, which is this like URL link option. Okay, so once you click on enable button, this will generate a special URL right here, and then you can copy and paste this URL, and then you can share, send that, share that with others. And then when they click on this link, this will open this dashboard page without asking that person to log in or create an account. This is kind of convenient because sometimes, especially when you're sharing with like random number of the people. And this URL is different from this URL, the main URL. And the reason we do this is because sometimes you start with like sharing with 10 people, and that's cool. And then maybe like 2 or 3 months later, like you start feeling like, hey, like some people might somehow accidentally got the URL, or some people have left the company and they might still own that URL. Then you wanna regenerate the URL so that you basically disable the old URL and create a new URL, right? So that's why like this enable disable option will generate a unique special URL. As long as you know this URL, you can open this dashboard. Okay, so that's the share link option. Let me let's go to the slide. And then, so basically, when you share, this is the kind of email like you will receive or the other person will receive. And click on the view it button. And then if you don't have an account, and then it will ask you to create an account or log in to the account. And then if you don't want to go through that hassle, you can click on the enable URL. Okay. And I'm going to share this slide later, and it talks about, I kind of got summarize, what are the difference. So it's like public mode, private mode, and private with URL. So when you share the dashboard in public mode, and these are the things, and then private mode, these are the things, those are the difference. So if you're interested in, please take a look, or please ask me the question at the end of this session. Okay. So now, let's say like just one dashboard is cool, like you have only one URL, right? And then you can maybe bookmark. But when you start sharing many dashboards, let's say like 5 dashboards, and also as you might have known on the Exploratory, you can share not just dashboard, you can share the notes, charts, or you can share data itself. And then you ended up like having like 10 or 50, 100 things you're sharing with your team. Then it's kind of confusing. Like, I mean, it becomes a little unorganized, how to access and what you have shared, like, how to find them and stuff. So one way to do it is, it's convenient. It's like when you go to our website and you have your account menu, right-hand side top, when you click on it, then there will be this menu called My Insights. When you click My Insight, and it will open your insight page. When you look at the top, one of them, third from the left, is called Scope. And that basically is one of the options called Owned by Me. And this view will show you all the things you have shared, you have published. Okay, so these are your stuff. And if you have published only one, you have only one, you haven't share anything, then you obviously don't see anything. But this is the default view. And then you can change the scope to shared with me. And by clicking this, then now like all the dashboards or data or anything that somebody else shared with you. So this is a very convenient way to find the one you are looking for. Okay, so that's my insight page. And now let's move on to the next step of the life cycle, which is interact. And interact is really about something called parameter in Exploratory. And by using that, then it's often like you publish something, and then maybe other people and some people want to see only particular set of the data. Let's say like this person is in Asia, and they want to see the Asia related data instead of like an entire world. So you can create the parameters to do such things. Okay, so. And then the parameters, I'm going to quickly do the demo, but before I going through, the parameters also is very flexible. Like you can design very flexible way. Sorry for like someone like Japanese in that dashboard, but this screenshot I think originally created in the Japanese. But right hand side is the parameter section, and the left hand side is the dashboard. And you can design so that some parameter works all the charts, or some parameter works only particular chart. So you can very flexibly design parameters, and then this is useful because like you want to see, hey, like I want to see only the Asian sales data, but some particular chart you want to keep it to contain all the countries even outside Asia. So you can actually design that way as well. Okay, and another cool thing is you don't basically when you design those things, you set the parameter for at the chart level. So you're not really thinking about like how you strategically design a parameter kind of stuff. You just create the charts, and then you wanna decide like which how you wanna create the parameters for each chart, or the data step or data wrangling step. And then once you create it, then you bring those charts in a dashboard, and then these parameters will be automatically added So at the design of the dashboard time, you don't really have to think about which parameter you need to add, that kind of stuff. The parameters comes with the charts that you insert in the dashboard. Okay, and then for the detail, I have done the seminar before called How to Use Parameters in Exploratory. So you might want to take a look at, and again, like go to the exploratory.io under the Learn section, and then you see the how-to tutorials. And in this page, and then left-hand side at the kind of close to the bottom, is a parameter. When you click on this, all the information about the parameter shows up. And then one of them is the seminar that I was talking about. Okay, so let's do the quick demo here. I have this dashboard, and at this point, if I click on this parameter button at the top, and then I see only one sales parameter. What this thing is, like I'm gonna just change this one to like something small value or something. And then if I click on run button, and obviously, like you'd expect, something is going to be different. And then it turned out, probably this is very hard to see, like only I can notice because I designed it, is this one is actually working only for this chart. And then everything else is not affected by it. But now, like I want to create a parameter to control which market data to show. And also, I like to control like which time of the data to be shown. Okay, so that's something that like I like to do. So I'm gonna go back to the exploratory, and then what I want to do is I can add the step. Okay, so let's say like this is a chart that I have. Okay, and then I want to create a filter so that like other people can choose which market data to be shown. So click on this button and filter, and then like select the market column, and then I'm gonna select the is ins. Then like I let others choose like Africa and Asia or something like that. And then parameter, there's a parameter button, so I'm gonna click on this. And at this point, there's no parameter showing up because I haven't created a parameter. So let's create this one. So create a parameter, and this is like a parameter dialog. Okay, and here I'm gonna create a market parameter. Display name is market as the default is good, and then the type is character data type. And the input, instead of like letting them to type the Asia or something, like I'm gonna create a list of values or drop down. And two ways to do it, you can enter manually, let's say Asia, Africa, and so on, or get the value from the data. So I'm going to do that option. And then which data frame? I'm going to use the same data frame I'm referencing right now. If you happen to have like another data frame you created, you can use that as well. So here I'm going to select this itself, and then the step. Step can be, I have only one step, so there's no point of even selecting a step, but I'm going to just select this like a first step. And then the value is I'm going to select the market column. Okay, so these values just came from this data itself. So it's sort of like, yeah, it's very obvious. And then I'm going to keep this one, like set all values when no value is selected. Okay, so because I want to allow others to not type anything, that means selecting all values, right? So I'm going to keep on this way and click on Save button, and then close this. So now I can select this like a market bracket multi-select parameter, and click Run. And what is going to happen is like nothing really happening. And here is the one thing. I created this parameter here at the second step, but this chart is still referencing to the first step. So whatever the data I'm seeing in this chart is coming from the first step, not from the second step. So I'm going to move this step to this chart to the second step. Okay. And then right-hand side top, this is a parameter button. If I click on it, then the parameter pane shows up. And under the market, right now, it says all. So that's why like, we're seeing all the data. If I click, and then let's say select like Asia Pacific or something, and then I'm going to see only the Asia Pacific. I'm going to add Europe as well. And then like I can see Asia and Europe. So two markets of data. And then now, if I had, I think, wait a second. Oh yeah, here you go. Another chart. So this one is basically showing the 5 markets. And then the reason is because this chart is still pointing to the first step. Okay. So now here, when I have all these charts in the dashboard, and when I click on this parameter button, I see the sales and this market parameters automatically showing up because some of the charts using this market parameter. Which chart is using this market parameter? So far, only this chart. This says chart 3. Okay, but so if I, for example, selected instead of Asia Pacific, I'm gonna select, let's select Africa and then USCA or something, and click on Run button. And then now the data is basically, this chart is reflecting my selection, but again, this chart is not reflecting whatever the selection I made. Okay. And then now, if I want to, hey, you know what? Like I want to actually these guys to be pointing to here, then same thing is going to happen. So, so you can flexibly design that way. And another thing I like to do is, let's say, which one? Yeah, I think this chart is actually a good example. I want to create a filter to sort of narrow down that sort of like a date range. Instead of creating the chart as a step, I can create a filter inside the chart. And in that way, I can really sort of like contain the effect of the filtering. So if I click on the chart filter button here, and then like let's say like order date is maybe like later than or equal to a particular date. But instead of me typing that particular date, I want to use a parameter so that not only me, but also others that I would share with can enter the date. And in this case, here parameter order date, I've already created this parameter. So I'm going to select this one and then click Run button. And what is going to happen here, if I click on this parameter window, and then I have not just market parameter, but also the order date, because this order date parameter is being used in this chart filter. And then I can select, let's say, maybe like 2014, and then that looks good. And then I can click on Run button. And then now like this chart is showing only from the 2014. And then this same thing is if I go to the Run button, or if I click on this parameter button, and basically the same selection now is the order date is showing 2014 to 0101, 2014 or later, and then the market is only for African USCA. So this chart is reflecting it. But this forecasted sales data is not reflecting because this chart is coming from under the analytics, and this chart doesn't have any filter whatsoever. So again, what I'm trying to do, I say here, is that you can create the parameters so that like your other people like you invite with can interact with the dashboard, but also then you can flexibly design how this parameter works. Other things like I haven't talked about is you can create this parameter as part of a SQL query so that like you can sort of like your users or your audience can interact with the dashboard by changing the query and then getting the new sort of like reflected data from the data source. Also, not just filter, you can actually create a parameter and embed the parameter inside your calculation. So let's say like you want to change the discount rate or something, and then let others to change maybe like 20% or 30%, or you say you want others to choose. And then you want that these numbers or calculation to reflect that input. You can create that as well. So those are the things I talked about in the parameter seminar before that I mentioned. So if you are interested in, please take a look at this seminar. Okay, so that's how you interact with the dashboard, how you or your teammates can interact with the dashboard. So next topic is a schedule. So I think this is probably one of the most important things because the moment you share the dashboards, that's kind of like start and the beginning of the death, right? Don't nobody wants to see the dashboard that it has a sort of like stale or old data. So you want to keep the data up to date whenever like they open. Okay, so you can actually schedule this one too. Let's just do a quick demo here. Not so this is where I publish. Okay, on the right hand side, this is a kind of a clock icon. So that's a schedule button. Sorry, before going there, I totally forgot to show you how the parameter works at the server side. So if I click on this parameter, I have only one. And then if I republish it, I click on the publish button and then click on the republish button. So as you know that I have added extra parameters, right? So those parameter information now it's been published to the server. So that means when I go, once it's published, and when I click on this parameter button, oops, I think I need to refresh this page. Here we go. Then hopefully all the parameters now showing up, order date and market and sales. And then in order to use it, I'm gonna click on this enable the parameter button. And this now brings this dashboard in interactive mode. And then from here, and then like I can just change this selection, for example, order date to be 1 year before here, then click on run button. And then this one is basically filtering and then reprocessing that data at the Exploratory server. So as long as, like other people can open this, they don't even have to install the Exploratory and have to go to the desktop environment or anything. Like all they need to do is the web browser and open this. And then again, if the parameter happen to be used in a SQL query, then the data dynamically, the updated data dynamically come from your data sources as well. Okay, so that's the parameter. I'm gonna stop the interactive mode for now. And then the next one is the scheduling. So you click on this schedule button, and then let's say, hey, you know what, like I want to schedule this every day, and maybe like 6 a.m. and then my time zone US Pacific, that's cool. And then I can save the configuration. So once I've done that, then now from every morning, it goes to the database in this case, because the data coming from my SQL database. And then every time like you open this, you should be able to see that latest data. One thing though, like once I click the subscribe notification email button, then once its schedule is run, and then you will receive the schedule like email to show you, to tell you that data is being refreshed. Okay, so now, so this is because you created as an author, but also if other person, not you, but the other person you share with, and they also can get this notification email by clicking on the 3 dots button at the right hand side top, and there's a subscribe. And then when you click on this, then you start getting the notification email every time the schedule run. Okay. And the why, then how the Exploratory server is refreshing the data. So there's 3 types of data. First, remote files, like you might be accessing to some data through HTTP or something. Then in that case, when you publish, and then the dashboard also contains the URL information. That's why the Exploratory server basically use the same URL and then get the latest data. Other option is like a database, like I've been doing here. So database case is like basically you create a connection in Exploratory, and then Exploratory, when you publish the Exploratory server, it publishes the connection information as well. So therefore, Exploratory server knows how to connect to your database. That database needs to be able to be accessed by the Exploratory server. So typically, like you might have the database on the Amazon, AWS or Google BigQuery or Google Analytics and so on. Not Google Analytics, Google BigQuery. Then Exploratory server use the connection to access the database. all the password information is being encrypted. So Exploratory server doesn't really know, like we don't know, but it actually use that information and then send to the database. Okay, and then, so that's a database. And one thing though is this connection not necessarily be attached inside the dashboard. It's actually attached, sort of saved under your account. So therefore, like let's say like you publish like 10 dashboard, but that doesn't mean like each dashboard keep the connection information. Therefore, if you have to adjust or update the connection information, sometimes you have to change the server name or username, password, on all the stuff. Then next time, only thing you need to do is just publish whatever the dashboard or chart or data, whatever that is using that connection, a particular connection. Then that will update the connection information under your account at the server. So all the dashboard now, like all the 10 dashboard will use that updated connection information. If you want to you want to keep like different connection, then you create multiple connection in the Exploratory server. Then you can manage that separately as well. Okay, so then another thing is a cloud app. So let's say Google Analytics or Salesforce and so on. Then in that case, the same thing is when you publish the auth information being published. And this is again, auth is managed under your account, not for each dashboard. Okay. So once you publish and start scheduling, and you want to monitor and how that dashboard is being used, and also if you accessing the data, there is actually the limit how much data you can process monthly based on your plan. So you want to monitor like how that thing is going. And so to do that, you can actually go to that, click on that your account button, and underneath there's a stats. When you click on stats, then you will see the stats page. And then this will show you like, monthly or yearly, like how the user views, like accesses, and then which dashboard or note or table or chart being accessed, how many views, how many likes, and so on. But this is kind of like a generic information, but this is probably more information, more important information for you if you're scheduling. So this page under the usage will show you how many data, how many rows being processed in this your license period, or it's basically the monthly period, and then how much you have used for your what do you call it, like an allocation or limit, and then you can check you can check that as well. And then Exploratory doesn't sort of like, let's say like your plan is like let's say business plan or something, and then it has a limit. It doesn't I forgot that particular number. Let's say like 1 million rows or 10 million rows or something like that. And if we reach the limit, and then it just stops, and it will send you the email that you hit the limit. So we never automatically extend your plan and charging more kind of stuff. So then what you can do is once you reach the limit of the your month or something, and you still want to schedule to process more data, then you can upgrade the plan as well. You can do so under your account page. Okay. So you schedule, and then last thing is reproduce. And I think reproducibility is really important for we think because I mean, like you definitely don't want to have the data or charts or even the dashboard that nobody can reproduce, because how can you validate or how can you preserve the integrity of the data? So reproducibility has been really important part of Exploratory, and the dashboard too. You can reproduce a dashboard as long as you have Exploratory. So to do, let's say this one too, like I'm gonna do the quick demo. Here this is where the dashboard is being shared. And of course you can reproduce this one, but also more important thing is like other team members should be able to reproduce. So I'm gonna click on this download button and then download EDF. EDF stands for Exploratory Data Format, basically the reproducible format by using Exploratory. So if I click on this, and then this will download the EDF file Once it's downloaded, and then I'm gonna close this one. And then let's say like I'm gonna pretend like another person. So therefore I have a different project. I'm gonna just click on new project, and then this one is empty, right? It's just it's a blank project. And then this, I'm pretending like another person being shared the dashboard, and I just download the EDF. So I'm gonna click on this plus button. Which one? Either way is fine, but this I know this is for the reports. So I'm gonna click on import EDF, and then select this EDF. And then this will create not just dashboard, but also the data, the charts, and the data wrangling step, and the parameters. Anything that like I need to reproduce this dashboard output. So this is a dashboard, and then here's a data frame. And in this case, I happen to be using only one data frame. So that's why this dashboard is using only one data frame. But it happened to have like multiple data frames, then you're going to see a list of data frames. Some data frame might be joined, some data frames are independent, just happen to be used by the different charts in the dashboard. Okay. And then so I can click on this run button, then I should be able to reproduce. One thing though, this one is not going to share the connection, because connection is more like something to do with security, right? So you don't want others to be able to import the dashboard along with the connection and see the password or something like that. So what it does is it keeps that connection name, let's say like MySQL connection or something like that. And then another person I share with download this EDF. I can control they can download the EDF or not, but I allow them to download the EDF. Then they need to have that MySQL connection. If they don't, they can reproduce this dashboard, but they cannot click on this re-import data to be access the data source and then get that latest of the data. If they have their MySQL connection, under their name or whatever, then they can click on this re-import data to get that latest data as well. Okay. So that's the reproduce side of things. So in this case, for example, if you happen to have multiple data frames, all the data frames that are needed to reproduce a dashboard will be automatically imported. All the charts, all the data wrangling steps will be reproduced inside your Exploratory. Okay, so that's it. So the data science workflow is, we always talk about, but then at the end is a communication step. One of them is a dashboard. But dashboard is not just creating a dashboard. It's about sort of like a life cycle. There are a lot more involved. So dashboard, publish, share, interact, schedule, reproduce. These are all things I think are important. We think it's important. And that's just the topic that we cover today. Okay, that's it for today. And the next seminar is about the new features in Salesforce. So we released version 6.6, and actually today, or could be tomorrow, we are releasing the latest patch. And this one is going to be for public version as well. And this will have the Salesforce data source actually doesn't come for the public version. It's only for the paid version. And the community version. But there are a lot you can do with Salesforce data. So that's something that I'd like to cover in the next seminar. Okay. And then you can always go to our website under the LAM, the online seminar menu. And then, and then you can see the future seminar information and also the past recordings as well. Okay, so that's it for today.